Alright, if I sound a little tired today, it's because, well, haven't really slept properly in days. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue on here. So, since last time I went ahead and did a little bit of the old grindy thing, seems like we're actually going to go run a couple more of those real quick, because I meant to have this maxed out. Well, not maxed out, but at least level 2 on one of them here. So, you might be wondering, why? You know, you might be wondering what the hell the deal is with this. So, generally speaking, there's a few of these skills that I wanted to at least get some ranks in. Just kind of due to the fact that, if you didn't know, these give you a very marginal amount of defense against a particular thing. So, for example, if I get two-handers, if just by putting this on, any two-hander that's attacking gets 4 less base attack to work with. Every rank past that gives another 4, if I'm understanding it correctly. It just gives you another 4 to your toughness score if that particular weapon is in the calculation. Given that these characters are not going to have a whole lot of skills to be working with, generally speaking, it makes sense to just kind of know what weapons are going to be in the fight coming ahead. Essentially just have all these skills on there, so once maxed out, these will essentially give about 32%, well, not 32%, but it'll give 32 less, there's more resistance against any particular thing. We won't really have any elemental resistances, but either way, we'll get to that when we'll get to it. But it does reduce stuff pretty significantly, like the fact that I've gotten pretty much everyone on the team with bows and crossbows up is going to be pretty significant. When I was routing this early on, I kept having issues of them getting one-shot by bows, and just equipping bows and later on equipping an enemy does actually reduce their damage to a reasonable level, so it's still doable. So let's go ahead and run a couple more fights here. We need to set everybody back to AI anyway, or off of AI anyway, so we'll go ahead and do that. And something that you may notice is a couple of characters have taken injuries now. Not Aracel's actually on her last life. That was a bit of a mistake on my part, but after about 2 hours of just leaving it auto-grinding and them getting really unlucky, well, it kind of was just one of those cases where I figured, you know what, whatever, we'll be getting elixirs down the road anyway. Worst case scenario, I can leave them out for a few fights and train up one of the 4 backup rookies. I mean, there's going to be a lot of moments in between where we're going to be missing stuff. It'll happen. It's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and bum rush everybody forward to their respective spots here. For whatever reason, the AI is... when it comes to melee stuff, they're really bad in this map. They tend to congregate into a giant bubble and then just sit there getting shot repeatedly if there's 2 enemies on either side. They'll usually just ping-pong back and forth between them. Even if they could spend 2 turns to go catch up with them, they will inexplicably just keep switching targets over and over. So I'm not sure if that's actually like an AI quirk where they're supposed to not repeatedly stomp on the same unit repeatedly, at least for the melee setting. There did seem to be a little bit of a better thing when it came to Vanguard in that regard, which I think is just because they're supposed to not retreat as often. But yeah, it was a weird time. It was a weird time. Now, if you're wondering how many... I'll just go ahead and leave the question open for a minute as far as how many, possible knockouts or kills or whatever you want to count these as it's actually taken to get to this point. Just how many random units here in Tynemouth had to be dropped in order for this to even be kind of possible. Because yeah, everybody's maxed out as far as bows and crossbows go. The main idea is for them to be to have at least Death Whale. So more or less the plan in a lot of fights is going to be to allow people to get knocked out on the way over, buying time for the rest of them to build up their meters, and then use Death Whale. Then they circle back, bring back the people that got knocked out, have them use items to recover themselves, and yeah, just kind of repeat that cycle over and over and over. So you might be seeing here that, yeah, casters are doing significantly more than anyone else. It's a little bit of a problem. Honestly, if these guys hit or not doesn't really matter too much. They're still going to be getting experience regardless. I'm just getting his up to rank 2 while we're here. So, I got hammers up to rank 2 on everybody. I believe I got it on everybody. I don't remember if I actually finished that. I mean, you can see bows and crossbows have gotten reduced to the low double digits here. And you might have noticed that we're absolutely swimming in cash at this point, as well as other random items. Now, yes, I could have just gone into the cheats and allowed them to get max stats and max skills right away. Would have saved a bunch of time. Would have probably been the better idea, but you know what? Like I said last time, we're going to do this right. So I'm not going to have anyone coming in and saying that this wasn't done right the first time. So, alright. We continue on here. Down the road, once we pick up an anatomy, it'll make sense to go back to a ranked out skill like bows. Essentially, that'll trickle over all that experience over to anatomy instead. I mean, I guess crossbows are their best skill right now, but bows allow you for a little bit more freedom in attacking things. But either way, once we get anatomy, everything will completely change. So, it's kind of a messed up thing. So, as far as routing this goes, the first thought that came to my mind was to go through neutral. I forget if I mentioned this last time, and actually I should probably mention for anyone that was having issues watching the first part. Apparently, I don't know if it's that due to the whole virus thing right now, but apparently there was some weird situation where it tried to copyright it for the main menu music as per usual. I assume it's for the main menu music. It's pretty much always for the main menu music. Like, if you play a single note of it, it'll be like, oh my goodness, Square Enix is sending their attack choppers right now. But no, when it came to when it came to this though, for whatever reason, instead there's no copyright thing on it whatsoever. It's just suddenly unavailable in a bunch of regions. So I'm not sure what that is. I reached out to YouTube there to try to figure out what the deal was. Obviously, it's not a priority for anyone right now, so I wouldn't expect a resolution of that anytime soon. Kind of random, but you know what? That's how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So what we're going to do here, we're actually going to get everybody down as much as possible, and then just repeatedly have the team take themselves out. Just kind of heal and smack each other with two-handers. It's like per time spent, it's the fastest way to do it. Because you're essentially getting experience on both ends. So, for example, if we reduce it down to just the cleric here, we know that it's only going to take a couple swings to take them out. There we go, that one's gone. So what we're going to do, we're going to take a nice meaty swing at them. They're going to be over there, they're going to be healing themselves for a couple rounds. You're going to go this way. Like, as far as a weapon goes, eventually I'm probably going to have one person using a greatsword, but no one else. It's just there's a defensive skill. Greatswords in general, up until you get to the very end game, are pretty garbage. There's I mean, granted, in this playthrough here, there's literally only 2 options for each weapon class available. But hey, you know, just gotta mention it while it's there. So yeah. So yeah, hopefully that'll get resolved at some point with that whole video thing, though. We'll see how it goes. Alright, now to commence sparring. So if you have 2 of them, just taking swings back and forth at each other, it is hands down the fastest way to do it, especially if they have counterattack, especially counterattack 1. Especially if you give them both dodge buffs, you can just have them sitting there back and forth. It's good times. These guys are going to go take out this wizard guy. Everyone's going to pile on Gordon here, who you might notice has a decent amount of extra health. He's been getting a lot of those Emperor cards, so that's been handy. It's a reasonable bit more tough. Overtime stuff's going to change as far as where the cards go. Generally speaking, my logic right now for who to give cards and when is just if Denim's within range, I have him go pick him up. If not, then I'm generally just going to have whoever's closest go pick it up. That's really kind of about it. For the most part, everybody's up by at least a couple points since last time. Decent number of health ups, decent number of strength and dex ups. So you may notice a few extra points on people here and there. And yeah, just like everything else in this, it's just you start off in these little tiny increments. And they go and they go and they go until suddenly it just explodes. And suddenly it's like, oh, you know, I do 20 now, fantastic, that's actual damage. And then it's like, oh, I do like 40 now, that's awesome. It's like, oh, I do 700 now, well, that worked out pretty nice. Then suddenly, as soon as you get past all those defense thresholds, suddenly stuff gets to scale real good. we go. So what we're going to do is just grind him up to his last remaining 10 experience there. I don't really want to do too much of this here, so... There we go, take one swing, and he's leveled up. Fantastic. For the sake of comparison, he was at 99.9. Now he's at 1.2. So you're essentially getting 1.3-ish, 1 point something. If you take, you're usually getting like 1 point something to 2 point something. It's a slight difference. Should probably see how close everybody else is here. Alright, you're not going anywhere soon. Neither are you. You're fine. You're almost there. We can go pile on Felicia too here. Give her a little bit of that, oh wait, I guess there was no point in doing that, huh? Oh well. Yeah, for stupid situations like that where I'm just half dead and made a turn that really doesn't change anything. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and allow the turn reset. It really doesn't hurt anything, it doesn't change anything. All it does is save a little bit of time. And if you're thinking like, oh man, that'll mess up the economy for this whole run. Yeah, about that. So, when I was routing this out, I must have gotten extremely lucky on cards and extremely unlucky on drops, because, quite frankly, we have no worries in that regard whatsoever for the whole rest of the run. Like, I easily have enough for friggin' the entire game right now. And bear in mind, that isn't even involving any, selling any extra stuff yet. Like, right now, hell, for a lot of it, I didn't even empty out the inventory, so it was selling stuff at half price automatically. And yeah, even with all that, we're still doing okay. Hi there, Mr. Cow. How's your day going? Wow, Felicia, you want to actually block at some point, or what? Yeah, she's already at 95, so one more healing item, couple more smacks, and we're good here. As you can see, it actually goes up a lot faster than it seems like it should. Or at least than it normally would look like. I don't know, I'm not sure what their logic was behind a lot of the balancing that they did, but I can only assume they were thinking about this method and thinking about allowing everybody to, you know, to function as they would. Maybe they thought people would pick up on this being a mechanic. I don't know, but yeah, you can get weapon experience like crazy. It's kind of a neat little detail. I mean, I really appreciate it. It's just like, yeah, you know, they're learning how the thing works. They're learning to avoid it. And that's about that. Now, one more swing, level you up. It's a chance. I'd rather just her take the swing. Alright. And that probably got her to 9.9 or some such. Yeah, 99.2. Like I said, it's a range. And then one more swing, and she'll level it up. The old, your dying skill has improved. Alright, not the one I wanted. Literally the one unit I didn't want in that case. Ranked up, they got their dying skill up. Alright. Now, KOs feel like they should give you a little bit more experience, and they sometimes feel like they do, but it's literally just, it rolls a random range. KOs, and I heard a theory of overkills doing it. None of that actually gives you anything extra. Alright, so here's the actual build we're going to go with. Crossbows, daggers, just on everyone. They already have the skills equipped, so no need to really redo anything there. Actually, I think for not Aerosol, we're going to have her be a bow user. Most of everybody else is going to be running crossbows here. So, bows are going to do okay damage, but they're not going to be really blowing anything out of the water. Now, realistically, these guys probably don't need daggers right now, but that's fine. Now, because of how this map works, we're going to go with 4 bows, and the rest will be crossbows. There's a chance that you can get a little bit stuck around the beginning there. So we'll just leave it at that. Now, do we have any items for Leonard? Yeah, we can just boost his attack real quick. That'll do the job. The cool thing about this is we never actually have to access the skills menu. Like, it's just good as is. And so we move on to Rhyme. I believe at this point... Oh yeah, we can... we've been using Veil before. You know, we'll just put Steve in here. Just to have one more body in the pile here. Maybe give him another skill to work with after this. Gonna sit here to serve how useless these characters should be on a regular basis. Yes, Bolis wants to finish her off. So this might seem backwards, but this right here is exactly why, this is exactly why we're not going neutral. Because in theory, the neutral route would be the best. Because you can go through the entire thing, and you can get the most units by far. The thing is, though, that when it comes to actually getting through that... Okay, so let me back up a minute. Each route has its merits in its own way. So going through neutral will give you the most units, and it'll give you the most scavengeable skills, and can almost guarantee anatomy on everyone, which is the big one that's going to be the run changer. Because basically anatomy plus ranked weapon skills equals you dominate pretty much anything that can actually take damage, / you can actually do damage to stuff. I will say stuff like dragons and all that, that will be a major problem, because in most cases we can't actually hurt them, so there's going to be little workarounds to make that happen. And specifically, this is why we're going to be going through Law. But anyway, so going through Law, there's the most guaranteed hires. So this is going to be... They're still doing one. There's going to be the most guaranteed hires in terms of just you don't actually have to save somebody from a fight. Because, yeah, on neutral, while you do get a lot of them, you got to save the neutral trio, you got to save the Lib front trio, you got to save Hobram and all that, in order to actually scavenge all their skills. And it's problematic, to say the least. It's just not exactly very viable when you can barely do damage to anything. So, while I would like to do neutral, and love to do neutral every time it comes up, it's just not very practical. Going through Chaos, on the other hand, gives you the most fights that you can win by just sniping a leader. That's why the speedrun routes end up using that particular one. But, honestly, while that's pretty darn nice as it is, it's not going to be fantastic for this run. Yes, it would be useful, but it also does not give you a whole lot of skills to work with, so functionally speaking, for those slightly easier maps, we're going to be paying a ton. So there we go. Rank 8 does 40, base rank does 17. Is it super amazing? No. No, not without anatomy. Like, once we get anatomy, once we get elemental scaling, once we get all that, there's going to be a major difference. But for now, we're just going to have to settle for slightly higher base attack. Have Sven go ahead and finish this one off. I mean, most of their damage is going to be coming from finishers. That's the thing, they ignore a portion of defense, plus they give you a kind of static attack value. So, pretty handy. Also, you might notice we're up to 72 Blessing Stones. You kind of got a lot of those. Just at least a decent number. We're pretty much good on all buff items, all everything. Like, that stuff just drops like candy, so we're fine. There's really not much that we need to pick up at all during this run, but for the few items that we need, we're more than stacked. And yeah, we've got one bow user that's got enough dex to actually do 3 damage. Oh crap! So you might be thinking, what's the deal with that? Why are they doing a little bit more? Because they happen to pick up a couple dex cards, and so yeah, pretty much everybody on the team has gotten some dex, some strength. Like, the crazy scaling comes once we get dex past, like, 50. Because for whatever reason, despite the fact that almost everybody would wind up with dex past 50, it's almost like they never tested it or something. Because, yeah, at that point, your scaling can go absolutely through the roof. I mean, if you completely max out dex at this point, and max out your weapon ranks, you can do, like, 200. If you add anatomy to that, you can easily be doing 300 or more with a crossbow. I mean, they can already do that with a finisher, but I'm talking just like basic shots. So yeah, saving Sistina, downright impractical with a setup. I mean, she's annoying to save on the best of days, but yeah, there's a reason that that One Vision went out of their way to make sure that that she was actually equipped for this fight. Because it's almost like her AI is unbelievably terrible. Also, wait, I missed that guy, or not the guy, I missed the lady on the left. Though I guess if we're playing War on the Visions, it wouldn't matter, would it? Yeah, there was a funny thing I forgot to actually... I don't remember if I actually mentioned when doing that whole review of War of the Visions there. One of the characters, like one of the only girl characters there that that isn't ridiculously over-sexualized or anything, they actually have a male voice pack. It's just why? Like, just because they're not flashing, like, all the cleavage in the universe doesn't make them a dude. Makes them, I don't know, cold and sensible. That's why they're used on the team, dang it. Now, are these daggers doing a lot? No, but they're building up a very slight amount of TP. They're doing a little scratch damage. It's something. We'll just go ahead and patch everybody up slightly. Sistina has almost no chance, but at least she's taking fire for us right now. You may notice the arrows, for the most part, when they're coming in, they're not going to be heading towards us. So if there's guest characters, they'll usually have inherently lower range defense, just due to how we did this. Alright. So, another reason that I actually trained up bows on absolutely everyone is this right here. So even if we use debuff abilities, like anything that's used in a spellbook or whatever else, we can technically use. That doesn't necessarily mean it'll have any chance to hit, though, since everybody's mind is absolutely just terrible. Well, everybody's mind and intelligence and all that kind of some suchery is just hot garbage on this team. We're a team of dum-dums with crossbows. But that's alright, we'll improve that over time. Now, I don't have a whole lot of time today. Time willing, I was hoping to make it all the way to Balmusa, but you know what? If not, it'll just be that little slight bit better setup for next time. Can we get an angle? Yeah, we can get an angle on from here. Again, with the it's a slight adjustment. Skulls go up, she does a heal. She's mostly here to heal Vice. That 40 health that she heals will honestly not be enough to save anyone on the team. I mean, you can see. You can see. I haven't played vanilla in so long. Oh yeah, no, same here. It's just yeah. I wanted to try this challenge on both of them. Got how slow the arrows were. Oh yeah, no, they go like 1 mile an hour. It's great. They didn't even care. But yeah, no. Like as far as how broken it was, I figured, you know what, we had to show off. Had to show off that you can actually get level 1s through this entire game. Alright, not making that shot. But yeah, the mod really changed things. Though, that being said, you know, even before this challenge, I've been going back and forth and playing both versions for a while, just because it's, you know, it gives you a little bit more appreciation for the mod when you go back to this one every now and then. It's like, oh man, the arrows are so slow, and why doesn't the armor matter? And it's all these little things, like, oh, I want to make a build. Like, what is build? Do you mean you would like to slap Baldur on your casters and then just notice that it really doesn't matter because their base stats still suck? Well, I guess it's time to grind! You know, that kind of thing, but... Oh, well, yeah, I don't think that one's going to be doing anything, so we'll just go ahead and slap more medication on this one. There you go. So yeah, we're barely 4 fights into the game. We've already got 1 or 2 rank 8s going on. Because there's so many exploitable mechanics in this game. Like, even when everything's all, you know, all as it is in the original. Like, just the fact that somebody was sitting there and was like, you know what? Oh my goodness. Apparently my cat is being a dum-dum over there. But no. That some genius was sitting there and was like, you know what? I just went sparring with my friend the other day, and we went and just did some HEMA or something, and you know what? knowing about a weapon makes you defend against it better. We should give, like, +4 base toughness against a friggin' sword if you know sword's real good. And like, well, I mean, I don't think that'll ever come in handy for anyone, but, like, unless some idiot decided to do a level 1 run, but sure, let's slap that in there. Let's see what happens. And so, yeah, if you ever wondered why your archers never get hit by archers, that's why. It's interesting, you know? It's a neat little touch. Gotta appreciate it. Alright. But yeah, whatever form, I just absolutely love this game. Like, I was actually thinking about it the other day, and you know what? This actually might be my favorite game ever. Because, you know, it's always those ones that you end up going back to over and over and over, and there's 3 in particular that I have gone through, and I've done challenge run after challenge run after challenge run, and I still keep coming back constantly. And it's always been this, Armored Core 3, and New Vegas. And it's just all 3 of them. It's the same running thread between all of them. There's just so many little mechanics that didn't need to be there, but, you know, just... You want to go give somebody a friggin' round of applause for putting them in there, you know? Just every time that some news figured out about this, it's just like, well, that's cheesable too, that's cheesable too. Like, okay, as far as ridiculous cheese for this run, like, again, the fact that we can survive damage by specifically stacking stuff that we only get at certain points. So, like, right now, we can't get any racial skills, but once we pick them up, they'll end up changing the game entirely. But these weapon skills are enough to start actually damaging things up to this point. Like, yeah, these daggers are kind of terrible, but they've, for whatever reason, they scale unusually high, giving them a sort of hidden armor-piercing quality to them. So, like, as soon as we start scaling, we can actually start doing some okay scratch damage on things. These crossbows, yeah, we're only doing like 4 damage at a time here, but as soon as anyone builds up their meter, something just instantly dies. So the warrior here is going to be used for most situations just due to their, you know, their access to all kinds of different skills and all that. The fact that they can essentially use those to cheese defense, which is all well and good. But we're going to be using a surprising amount of the roster as we end up going along. So, for example, we're going to be needing the rogue at some point because we're going to need some parts where we're just a little bit faster. We're never going to be able to pick up Speed Star or Sneak Attack or any of those. They'd be incredibly useful. Actually, I think... I forget if this is true, but I think you can actually scavenge Sneak Attack from Vice? I'm not sure. I would have to check in on that. But I think it's possible. But anyway, so if we used hammers at this point, we'd get a similar result, but daggers are just so much faster that I'd rather rank up daggers and have them sitting around for future use, rather than using hammers, simply because it would slow them down to the point where we're getting to be just as slow as everything else on the map. So right now we're trying to be a little bit speedy. As the game goes on, we'll end up getting more and more turns over them. So by the time Baldur hits, we're going to have a much harder time getting through defenses, but we're usually going to start being able to double turn things. Now, I have no interest in a lot of the drops in this map, so we're just going to go ahead and finish off this dragon here. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. I forget if I mentioned, Slumber Shot is the reason... Slumber Shot and Flaming Shot are the reason that I wound up putting bow training on everybody. Once we get to Balmamusa, the build will essentially be bow plus crossbow on everyone. Alright, so I'll just put him out of commission. Put Evan up here. You're gonna do your thing, and surprisingly, Sistina's gonna make it regardless. Huh. Well, take that, everybody who says Sistina can never be rescued, including myself. I mean, granted, in the mod, you'd have to go out of your way to actually get her killed off, but... you know. Alright. Shoot there. Felicia 2's crossbow. Yeah. I don't think there's any way she's making that shot. Should probably have them start taking more swings at each other, but oh well. Now, interestingly, we're actually going to be using blow darts for a while, too. Like, every different weapon skill will have a point somewhere. But we just got to get there. We just got to get there, we just got to figure it out. When it comes to different scaling elements and stuff like that, we're going to have to go pull a whole bunch of weird math out of the rear end by the end game there. Because we're going to have to get to the point where we're going to have to match up who has what elements, with what weapon type, with what type of finisher, and see if we can make those overlap in some ideal manner. Because that's going to be about the most optimal damage we can get. Now, unfortunately, we are going to have to sacrifice some units once we get to that point. But yeah, we'll deal as we'll deal. Even if we have to run a completely scaled-down team for a while until we get cursed weapons for everybody, it's still doable. It's just, truth be told, chapters 3 and 4 are kind of where stuff is a little weird. Now, that might seem like I'm saying, oh, all of the endgame. Not really. It's just when there's armor upgrades. Like, once Baldur hits, that's a bit of a problem. Suddenly, a lot of things have to be redone. So anybody without anatomy will suddenly have a hard time hitting through armor. Lizards are functionally unkillable to us at that point. Getting Azelston is the only way to pick up herpetology, so we'll see. I might get that on somebody. We will have a dedicated lizard killer once we, once we get there. So yeah, every one of the cursed weapons comes with a specific racial type that they're really good against. And yeah, that's what we're going to be going for there. If we can match up the the racistness type as well as the weapon type, then we should be in good shape here. Alright, we'll just go ahead and slumber this guy. Actually, we might be able to charm this one instead. Or just take them out, that works too. Honestly, all these are pretty dang strong, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Oh yeah? Okay, let's see about getting you a snack. Haha, plot twist! I already had the snack on hand. Alright, do we have Double Fang on you? Apparently not. Alright, whatever. I might as well just finish this guy off. Doesn't matter too much. I thought I had Double Fang on everybody. It's kind of the whole reason that I had it on them. So especially early on, Double Fang is really strong, because just like, what's it called? Just like Death Whale, it's an accuracy scaling multi-hit move. So, as far as I'm aware, the only damage scaling multi-hit move is the Wrathful Strike. So that's on Cudgels. That would suck. Like I even tried doing that for the testing runs and all that, and it just wasn't worth it. Simply because you have to be using a caster in order to be able to actually pull that off. Alright, we're just going to let this guy know that we'll eventually go back in time to beat him, but for now, we're alright. Okay. Now, to give you an idea of just how much we're friggin' rolling in the dough here. So that's sold a decent number of them. We've got 32 transfers here if we need to. 72 Blessing Stones. We can just go ahead and max out on Mend Leaves plus 2. Go ahead and get all of those. Yeah, max out on those, max out on those. Anything that can be usable with Field Alch 1, we're just going to go ahead and max out now. You know why? Because we're basically got everything we're going to need there. Going down the list here, never going to use these. Got 58 daggers. I don't know what we're going to do with all of them, but whatever. I may notice a lot of these things are few and far between as far as the higher end stuff. By higher end, I mean like friggin' level 4, but still, you know, we've got a lot of everything just kind of sitting around. After a while, it'll start selling itself, and given everything that we're doing, I think I might just leave it to sell itself. Typically, I try to just sell a few of them at least, just to kind of make sure that we're getting good trades, but it doesn't matter that much, honestly. I mean, yes, it's a 50% loss, but at the same time, I don't think it matters that much. There we go, we're already back up to a half mil. There's really nothing we need to buy. The only thing that we're really going to have to dump cash on is going to be Paradigm Shift later. But, again, that's... So, the whole infinite turn cheese. Generally speaking, it's not going to be too amazing for the purposes of this run. But it would technically allow for going to the end boss early, and yeah, just trying to take him out that way. The main problem is, there's really no good way of building up a TP without just having them shoot at each other back and forth, which would involve setting up a whole bunch of free turns in advance, which would then functionally take... I think I countered it up to actually pull it off with the level 1s and all the right skills and everything. If we wanted to do it without cursed weapons, which, now that I think about it, it's really tempting. We need like 10 mil worth of paradigm shifts, which... Again, you know what? Maybe that's not a terrible idea. Maybe I should do that. I don't know. Not the worst idea in the world now that I think about it, because we actually probably should have more than that available by that point. Because we haven't even started the real grind yet. Also, adorably, he's going to give us another 3k here. Oh man, we're going to do so much with that. And then he'll never give us money again. What a terrible benefactor. Alright. One thing I will grab a few of, though, is exorcisms. Actually, probably wouldn't hurt to max out on heals, too. And Still Light probably wouldn't hurt also. It's just bonus damage for the most part. Do I expect to use that many? No. Honestly, it's a buff for the sake of having a buff, and then we'll just max out in exorcisms. Those honestly won't do very much for the time being. Just kind of looking at the base stats here, he's going to be our highest. He's barely gone up from before. His resistance is freakishly high, though, so he never gets attacked by spellcasters, so that's nice. See, this one's doing alright. Their mind is completely broken. We've got this one. He's probably going around the best stats-wise right now. His agility's terrible, though. We've got not Aerosol here. Not the greatest at avoidance, but pretty decent overall stats. This one's mind and agility are broken, so Sven Lady, I'm sorry, your character kind of sucks. We got Cerebo here, doing a little bit better. I mean, by this point, most, even, like, characters that are properly leveled up, their base stats would still be, like, in about the 40s at least. Just to kind of give you an idea that, yeah, in some cases we're still running 20s. So that's fun. And as weird as it sounds, since we want to pick up, well, we're going to want to do the Nybbeth side quest later. We're actually going to go ahead and finish him off. And that's possible through the miracle of finishers. This one took a surprisingly long time to route out. So just like pretty much every other time, this fight, while it seems like the practical thing would be just to go for Bolis, we can't actually go for him until we have meters built up. So what we're going to do is we're going to send out our sacrificial NPCs to go run into the front. We're going to finish off anybody with whatever we can. If you don't have all the way up to rank 8 and whatever you're using, you won't be able to get past leather at this point, because the drop-off is that severe. But we should be able to two-shot most of these guys at this point. I won't be too worried about picking up cards or anything. Also, lucky crit. At least not in these ones, because it won't make a whole lot of sense to go for anything risky right now. We're going to be getting enough cards out of doing Farampa, out of doing Tynemouth and all that through the whole rest of the run, so there's not too much of a worry. So I was going on about the route earlier. I did forget to mention one thing there, which was Yunan. So he's actually the only time that you can pick up Dragon Slayer. I wanted to go do all the bosses if it's possible. Like, what I'm thinking is to probably do the whole unlocking the temples thing, and then I believe that locks them in place for the rest of time. So if I do that, I'm thinking that it actually might be possible to do all bosses on this run, so yeah. Base level, we can't really do very much because their damage threshold is freakishly high, even at maxed out stats. The starting weapons are not enough to get past their thresholds in any way, shape, or form. Even stuff like Death Whale will end up just doing 3 damage to them, just 1-1-1, and that's it in a lot of cases. The Octopus is a bit of an exception, because their defense is kind of terrible. I don't know why I thought that tile would work. Of course it wouldn't. But anyway, we're going to have a hard time getting through a lot of those thresholds as time goes on, especially without anything like Teratology. So yeah, we're going to be going down low, we're going to be getting Yunan. If possible, we're going to try to pick up Ocean as well. That would be the ideal. Again, it still sucks that the Cressida or anyone in neutral doesn't actually come with Demonology. That would make this run so much easier. But, well, such things happen. And see, this is the kind of thing, like, this is why I can't really play the base game without some sort of weird challenge run anymore. Because all of this stuff is there, and it's just like, oh, let me just go turn on that one thing. Oh, look, the run is over now. I just beat the thing. When it's something like this, where you're forced to route out in really bizarre ways, it just becomes interesting again. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just vanilla has so many mechanics and tricks you can abuse, and if they're all just right there, well, then I don't know. It's just not as interesting at that time. Also, I'm not sure why she decided to aim for Denim when she could have just aimed for him directly, but I guess she was going for the trick shot. I guess she does have the 3-tile split there. So right here, what I'm having Steve do is generally going to be a no-no throughout the run, and would still continue to be a no-no if I didn't have this one to back him up. Because any unit that's left isolated might as well be a complete write-off. Because for some reason, they will always be the one to take a crit. Now, I haven't been seeing it as much this run, but as the run goes on, you may notice over and over and over that it seems like we keep getting crit more and more. Now, on the topic of luck, there's been a lot of discussion over how the whole system even works, which honestly still don't know. But there is one more piece of the puzzle that became clear while going and testing for this. Your actual field map luck and your personal luck, it's not a shared pool. Your field luck will essentially max out after a little while, but your field luck, it can apparently just push it past that, so I'm assuming it's just 2 different puddles that'll combine and can reach some different stuff. Like, for example, if you max out luck, and you're having a good day, and, you're on a base character, it basically says the stars shine bright and whatever else, and although the weird part is it gives a different message. Like, for example, when I maxed out, when I went and got like a luck band, friggin' katanas, and basically every piece of equipment that would boost luck in one vision, it gave a different message. So, not really sure how all those thresholds come out, but either way, mostly what it seems to affect is just it's basically like the Jinxed perk from Fallout, where it just kind of makes criticals happen more for everybody. Whether that's a good or bad thing is entirely dependent on you, I suppose. And since we're next maxed out here, we can actually still do okay damage. It's nice. It's a good thing. What's up, kiddo? What you doing? Oh, you want crackers now? I think I can get you some crackers. Okay. Hang on, I'll be right back. I know you like crackers. Right, Be right back. Alrighty, and back. You know, checking emails just now. It's weird the kind of stuff that this whole apocalyptic scenario is doing to people. Because the kinds of stuff that people freak out over is kind of mind-blowing in some cases. Like, okay, most businesses are completely shut down and all that kind of thing, right? So, every now and then, I've been seeing a slight uptick in terms of how many gigs come through Fiverr. So, for anyone that isn't familiar with it, basically Fiverr is... you just more or less put down your skill set and stuff that you can do for people, and they just reach out to you like, okay, I need this little thing done, I've got like 20 bucks, make it happen. And so you just basically keep doing that, and, you know, it's a little bit of extra trickle income, like, and I do property research, I do all kinds of, here, let's see this, do all kinds of paperwork, I occasionally write articles for people, editing, all that kind of thing. Have a whole bunch of little skills that aren't really, you know, going to be impressive enough on their own to be like a full career or anything. You know, don't have the degrees to back them up, but I do have the experience to do that, so it's a convenient little side job. But yeah, so yesterday, this guy comes in. Like, I literally get get word from this guy at some friggin' 4 in the morning that previous day to go and make a document for him. So end up being busy most of the day. You know, end up going through. Let's just say that there was well, it was my wife's birthday, but anyway, at the time. So So I was going through, you know, we're doing the whole birthday thing, was doing this whole spa day, because that was the whole plan, was to finally let her take a break. She's always, you know, always working, so at any rate, in the middle of all that, I had sent this guy out his paperwork and everything, and so I was waiting for him to approve the first draft. Apparently, there was something wrong with his computer or some such, because he's just going and coming back and saying that he can't open the things. Okay, fine, fair enough. You know, incompatibilities happen, whatever. I'll just convert it to a PDF, send it out later. At this point, I was already in bed, so I was like, you know what? I'll just do it in the morning. This guy goes on and on and on, sends like 7 messages thinking he's friggin' uncovered the Illuminati on Fiverr or some crap. Like, it's like, no, it never existed in the first place. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna go to all the managers and all the issues, and like, I'm like trying to figure out where this guy was coming from, and apparently the reason he was mad was because his message took more than 2 minutes to answer, which apparently convinced him that this, like, well, let's see, it was $16 for a document that would have cost him, like, a friggin' $100 an attorney, if not more. And yeah, so apparently their logic was, if I freak out and go crazy here, maybe I'll get it for free, or maybe they were just venting, or I don't friggin' know what happened there, but either way, like, it was a real downer of an evening. It's like, I'm already, like, okay, he's saying that he's, you know, figuring he uncovered this whole big, you know, conspiracy on there. And, it's like, you can just tell looking at the numbers, like, okay, somebody's doing, well, like, 3-4 jobs for, like, $20 a month. Like, is anybody really gonna be going and messing with your paperwork? Like, just look at the feedback there. Like, everybody's getting their stuff. I'm pretty sure you weren't singled out for your friggin' $20 thing. Which, again, I only get $16 of. It's just like the little... Now, granted, I can understand, because, I mean, $20 is one whole fell seal, and that is a hell of a game. But, yeah, it's weird. It's just weird. Like, people will go nuts over just the oddest stuff. Alright. See if we can land Charm here. I believe it's like a 50% chance or something like that. It's pretty likely. I almost want to say it's 80. Because it lands a lot of the time. Alright. Do need to be running more crossbows, though. So I'm just going to take a safety heal here. Just do that. There we go. Poor Steve. But yeah, so, I don't know, my whole takeaway from the whole thing was just maybe people are super stressed. I mean, obviously a lot of businesses are going under right now. Interestingly, apparently movie theaters are going to stop being a thing. Like, I was watching this whole analysis over how they're expected to come out of it, which generally boiled down to nobody sees how they can be salvaged at this point, if they can at all. So it kind of seems like Netflix and all those other things and just home stuff in general will take over for it, which is kind of a shame, but also kind of, I mean, that whole feeling of haha, had it coming. But just you know, it's unusual. It's unusual. There we go. This is why we keep those daggers around, for you when you need something finished off, and you just need to get away quickly. Their swing basically costs nothing. I mean, it's barely more than just passing your turn at that point. Alright. Do it. Yeah, Heart Crusher will do 32, I'm assuming. Yeah, 43, 63... Flaming Blast, for whatever reason, is just stronger than the other one, while also having the better debuff. But okay, we'll just slap that on there. He's gonna heal himself. Bolis is, not Bolis. Who's this guy? Grion, there we go. He is, for whatever reason, one of the highest healing units in the game. This actually screwed me over once when doing a challenge run of the One Vision mod. And it's a little hilarious, but yeah, he's one of the few that actually comes with field alchemy. Alright, we'll just have Evan take the snipe. Or maybe just have him take the snipe on this one. And then next round, he's going to be all finally built up to go take out Mr. Grion here. One triple shot should be all it takes. And then we can go ahead and move on. Hi there, Annihilator. How's it going with the T-Rex with the trucker hat situation going on over there? Actually, I wonder if Felseal can get a T-Rex with a trucker hat. Sounds pretty awesome. Okay, so Frisk is just going to take a swing. You don't know. News are bad? Yeah, news is bad everywhere. How bad's it looking right now? I know you guys passed the worldwide death toll in a little bit. Actually, yesterday, over in the States here, apparently, ye old virus that shall not be named according to the algorithm, since apparently you can get friggin' perma-muted for mentioning it. So yeah, we'll just call it the Voldemort virus. Apparently it's become the leading cause of death in the States, which, according to some medical folks I talked to, that still sounds wrong, because that still should be cancer. But, oh well. See, it's looking empty like all days. Yeah, same here. Same here. The only place that's full is the grocery store, and the people working there are pissed. Like, if literally heard this guy talking yesterday. It's like, man, if any of these people gave a flying crap about actually staying healthy, none of these a-holes would be here. Like, well, that's not wrong. Income would be good, though. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's going on over there. I know on this end. The interesting good news is suddenly almost everybody in the country can apply for unemployment. And on top of that, we're getting some money in the mail that's about $1,200 a person, supposedly. There's a whole lot of question marks up in the air right now as to A, how is that even affordable? B, how is any of this going to work? C, how does that work in the long run? How do you even get approved for it? Because, quite frankly, most people that have been going and applying have run into the same issue of the fact that anything they do doesn't really seem to properly show. As in, a lot of people have run into issues where it just wasn't properly registering their numbers, or their applications were just straight up lost, and, you know, it's understandable. The situation's an absolute clusterfuck, but, yeah. Income would definitely be a good thing. Alright, so, strategy for this fight. All we need is one Death Whale on any of the three important characters, so that's going to be either one of the Griffins or Mr. Ganpp. Ganpp is going to be the easier one. The Griffins are bizarrely tanky, so just leave it at that. We're going to take out Vice early for some of that sweet, well, absolutely nothing. We gain nothing by taking them out. If anything, we actually lose things, but you know what? We're getting getting those TPs, so that's pretty good. And apparently TP is in very difficult supply right now, so clearly this is a good choice. So the best option we're going to have is probably going to be for Denim to take the shot. By the way, to give an idea, the difference between his damage and everybody else, and pretty much anybody else here. So right now, hang on. Is his VIT freakishly high or something? Yeah, 57. Okay, so generally speaking, let's see. Not Aircell, Evan, and Sven Lady. So there, yeah, their VIT is looking like it's going to be 47. So it's about equivalent to 10 extra points of VIT right now. Give or take. Take a dagger swing for more XPs. Take a little snipe at this guy. And yeah, she's one of the rookies. She's going to be getting almost nothing out of this. Truth be told, the rookies are going to be super worthless until I do the whole grind with them. It's not going to be a quick process. Generally speaking, I just set it on fast forward and leave it running in the background while they run around sniping everything. But what I wanted to do was wait till we ended up getting more units with anatomy before doing more of that. Because right now, this whole strategy of just build up until we get one nice death whale on somebody and then win the fight, that's going to carry us up until we get anatomy, at least on a few characters. Like right now, I would say Evan and Denim are the main priorities for that one. And then once they get it, we should be off to the races. So he's already halfway up. He's going to get knocked out. But the nice thing is, with this many finishers on the team, they'll usually end up knocking somebody into a full meter before anything goes wrong, or before we lose the fight. So it's kind of like one giant walking crumple zone, if you think about it. That they're meant to just take all the hits that come in, you know, try to do as much back as they can, and, well, eventually everything winds up safe. Kind of. Definitely a janky strategy to try to describe, especially trying to probably sell it to the people doing it, but hey, that's not my problem. Alright. Then we can take out Bird Guy. We, again, don't really get much of anything, aside from the fact that he won't be flying to our backside. Which is probably a good thing. And then we'll be switching over to a lot more crossbows after this. So once we get to the point where we have to save Ravness there, there was a nice little mercy when doing the level 1 runs, because, well, our stats were so much higher that she basically just decided it was better off to join than actually fight. But in this particular case, that won't be happening, simply because our stats are absolute garbage. So essentially what's going to happen is we're going to have to keep her either perma-charmed or asleep in order to be able to make any progress. She will gladly curb stomp the entire team while out there, so that's generally something that we want to try and avoid. Now that I think about it, I kind of wish that instead of Tactician, then its whole effect would have been scaling off of weapon skills, so that you could essentially cheese something like this, like where you, like let's say you know two-handers, so if you get hit by a two-hander, you just gain that much extra TP or something. I feel like that would have been pretty interesting. Alright, go for that guy. Just to build up more points. Birds are going to be coming in pretty soon here, so we need to have backs covered. I could be wrong in this, but they always seem to have a higher crit rate from the back. There's really no mechanics in the game that would back that up, but it always feels like it goes that way. And I'm pretty sure crits will always hit regardless, so... oh well. Maybe there's nothing to it whatsoever. Interestingly enough, that was a short bow outranging a great bow. Thank you for the host, Annihilator. And yeah, due to the extra health he's got going on, Denim should be right fine where he is. And even when everything is all completely said and done, he should still have slightly higher stats than everybody due to the necklace that he's got. So that's gonna be good. As much as possible, I want to keep hits away from him. because he's usually going to be the one that's landing the big hits. This normally would be somebody like Canopus, you know, somebody that can actually fly and move around at a reasonable pace, but again, we're using generics only, so dang it, we're not doing that. Yeah, the other reason you probably want to go for Ganpp over the Griffins here, he's got drastically less health. But again, honestly, either a couple bow finishers or one crossbow finisher on any of the three will do the job just fine. This all just becomes one big puzzle, essentially. That is some tasty orange juice. Tasty, tasty OJ. So yeah, the only thing that's actually getting them past damage threshold right now is the fact that daggers scale crazy high. It's like, that's the thing with daggers, though. They have a really good baseline, and they end up doing pretty okay throughout most of the game, but that's the thing, they never get quite as high as everything else. How do you go out and cut your hair now? Chainsaw. How else would you do it? Let's go rev that bad boy up and give yourself a nice little shave there. I mean, you got over here, you got Gillette or whatever going on about how they got 4 blades on there. You're like, oh man, I got like 100. Like, what now for your friggin' closest shave? Alright, this should be checkmate right here. Thankfully, this thing's damage is maxed out pretty much right from its first shot. So we can go for either of them, really. This one's numbers look a little bit better. Yeah, that should be just enough. Yeah, we'll just go for that. Pew, pew, pew. Shoot your ghost bullets! And then they do crap load, and then they're in critical, and then he's like, oh man, what have they done to you? And then he'll get so pissed off that he'll be a mini-boss all campaign until he joins you. Along with his birds, if they survived. I believe if you kill off both his birds, he refuses to join you, though. Could be wrong on that, but I do know that there was one case where he straight up refused to join no matter what I did, and I think that was why. I mean, if some random nobodies came by and crossbowed my bird, I'd be pretty pissed about it, too. But, of course, that would involve me actually having a bird again, so... that's a depressing nope. Alright. So next we'll do Nybbeth, because as per usual, we'll gotta prove that all this stuff can be done at level 1. I mean, I think if we get to the point where this, where we actually can do all bosses for this one, this might end up being the last vanilla run that I do. Just because how do you even go beyond that? This is kind of like, this is the big one. I forget what that changes. I think he just references it once later. Now then, these should be at 3 if I recall. No, they're going to be at 4. Alright, we're going to beef up everybody. And I think we're actually going to grind for cards a little bit. Because the interesting thing is, he can actually run out of reagents here. Man. Didn't turn on the humidifier high enough last night. Throat's all iffy this morning. So we'll pull forward a little bit, then we'll pull back. Actually, screw it. Might as well just go for it. As far as using undead to grind out stats, it's not really the best approach. There's certain situations that it can actually be beneficial. Like, for example, there was that one challenge run that required never using a store whatsoever. In which case, yeah, for that, it was a good idea. As far as grinding out anything undead related, there's a map right nearby here. Oh, crap. Oh, crap, right, I forgot Exorcism can miss. Dang it, Vanilla. Who decided that was a good idea? Don't get a sore throat, that's the worst thing after the virus. That thing this year got me ultra sick. Wait, you caught the virus? Or I mean, like, just the worst thing next to it kind of situation. But yeah, sore throats are annoying. I mean, mostly it's just the fact that, yeah, I didn't drink enough water, and then ended up having a bunch of coffee in the morning, and yeah. It'll happen. Like, I remember when he got sick. That was a whole thing. Ah, dickhead stole my card. Yeah, I think we'll just casually charge up here. I mean, we basically got the numbers to make it work. And then, yeah, the main reason that we want to finish off Nybbeth is so that we can... I don't think we actually even have to finish him off, but he'll be available for Palace of the Dead later. Then we can go ahead and get Secrets of the Master, which will give us absolutely nothing, and there's no reason to grab it. But, you know, we can. But we're going to be there. We're going to be picking up all that other stuff anyway. It doesn't really make sense to go for the Fire Seal, simply because what the hell are we going to do with it? I mean, nobody can equip it, so... meh. Best item in the game or not, doesn't make sense. Yeah, is there really any point in doing Nybbeth? Whatever. Actually, come to think of it, no, we're going to be skipping Nybbeth entirely, so we're just basically riling him up, getting him all killed off. I guess we're getting an easier fight in Palace of the Dead for it. We're replacing one of the rando fights with him. Actually, two of the rando fights with him. Let's see, if that was the virus and I'm good and healed, then I have the antivirus. So, I'm still unsure on that. There's been a bunch of stuff going back and forth, trying to say that that apparently people don't build up antibodies to this one as much, or at least some don't, or just some people are left predisposed to get it a second time. It's super unclear. I mean, medical folks tell me it probably is better to assume it's fine, but I don't know. I don't know what to really make of that. So hopefully, I mean, as far as the virus goes, I know some of it might have been nerves and whatever else, but we had a whole bunch of weird symptoms flying around over on this end. Like, one person ended up going to the hospital for chest pains, and it turns out that, no, they were just really nervous about the whole thing. I mean, there was one day that that I just basically felt my lungs hurt really bad, but then I realized I just had my mask on too tight and I wasn't getting enough air. There was, and, well, on top of that, I was running around at work, and just generally speaking, wasn't accommodating oxygen for the situation at hand. But yeah, then the kiddos had fevers at different times, and that was all well and scary, and they were puking and stuff like that, but then it turned out to be something unrelated as well. Just, there's so many things it could be. But yeah, these are the situations we want daggers for. Because we don't want to be running around repositioning crossbows and everything, we just want to take a quick swipe and run. Exorcisms will become near worthless as time goes on. Because as you can see, even on the easiest zombies in the entire game, we get 50 to 60% odds. That's going to go down to 0. Oh, good job, kiddo! Yeah? It's not spilling anywhere. Yeah, spilling's no good, huh? But you still have crackers. You need to finish them up. We're gonna have grapes with lunch, though.
We got grapes.
No, we're gonna have grapes with lunch.
Grapes.
Excuse me?
Grapes.
We don't give orders. Alright, and back. And no. Bab does not always get what they want. That is how you get spoiled, Bab. And we do not do the spoiled around here. Alright, there's one shot. We need 2, maybe 3 to get him down there. But we can just do the awkward push to get through this part. We're not exactly lacking for revive items here, so those 2 are likely going to get targeted again. That's fine, as long as none of our healthy guys are going down here. So we'll need 1 exorcism up in the front to get this one out of the way. Then we'll need 1 more getting whoever that is up off the ground. Kids are gonna get the Nerf guns and shoot you. I mean, yesterday she tried to club us over the head with a stool, but honestly, that was more of an accident. Like we like to joke every now and then that the kids are trying to take us out and all that, but honestly, they just don't know what they're doing in a lot of cases. Like especially my son there. Like he's just something I've noticed from all little boys in the family and all that. It's just they are just endless energy. They will just do. They don't really care what they're doing. They just do. Like he's just like, well, I grabbed this stool for my sister. She liked it, so that must mean it's good. And it, want to go give mom a hug. Well, let's see, how do we do that? I got 2 arms. Let's see, I got food in one hand. I got stool in the other. Club mom in head with stool. Okay, that didn't work. Got me in trouble. All right. Cry. Maybe that'll get me my way. We're okay. We'll figure this out. It's just they smile while doing so. Yeah. Like they just don't know what they're doing, so they're trying. They're just mashing interact on everything essentially. That's how I like to think about it. I don't get it, guys. This life DLC was weird. Alright. What if we put you here? Can you make this shot? On Ghosty Boy? Yes. So there we go. First 1 shot of the game. And that was just with a basic attack there. So you can see, we're getting there. This is just using the very first skill that comes up. We haven't gotten anatomy, we haven't gotten anything else. We won't really do much better against ghosts and things, but at rank 8, we'll still have enough to get through most stuff. Like, we'll at least be able to do some damage. It's kind of the way that it's balanced, that if you have rank 8 in anything, you can at least finish it with a finisher, in most cases. It's not going to be optimal, it's not going to be anything amazing, but you can get away with almost any build doing it that way. And let's see, never grow up, 1 month old. Well, in that case, how's that Mycosium doing? Let's throw that exorcism again. So there's only a few times that we're going to be obligated to use exorcisms, at least for the most part. Don't get the joke. Mycosium is the... or was it Meconium? I don't know, one of those. It's basically when kids are up to about like a month and a half old, give or take. They will, they essentially have this, like, black goo that comes out. It's like weird poo substance. It looks super weird whenever you're having a kid for the first time. It's like, why does it poop black? What is this? Alright. There we go, Nybbeth's gone. Oh yeah, I meant to test out the cutscene skip. I was actually looking into, yeah, no, actually, I guess it's more the first week than the first month. What am I saying? They have the weird poops for a while. Don't remember my sister that? No, it's all babies. Most of the time they stop doing it when they're out of the hospital. I don't know why I was mixing up month and week there, but most of the time once they're out of the hospital they stop doing it. But it's just, yeah, we'll just take one quick rando fight, why not? But yeah, it's like... it's literally just like black goo. And I think it's something to do from stuff they were eating while in the stomach and all that, or in the belly. Which, I mean, it just comes out as this nasty black diarrhea that looks like it came from space and sounds like it came from space, so there's that. And yeah, we're not doing like a whole power grind here. I just figure whatever, we got an extra random battle, we might as well take it. Might be able to resupply a little bit. No, it's nothing to do with smoking. I know you're probably joking, but just for the sake of clarity, no, it has nothing to do with smoking or anything else. Good job, kiddo. All done. No, we're not doing a bath yet. You can have a bath later, okay? You just had a bath last night. Gonna have to get you a fish tank, kiddo. And now it's not when anyone smokes. If someone smokes while having a kid, that is mental issues, not, and all kinds of other weird defects, not black poo. Why? Because that's how poop works. I don't know how we... Why'd I gotta bring up Mecosium? Why'd I do that? So, how about that, apocalypse? Yeah. The Bab already knows they have lived it. But yeah, no, that stuff freaked me out when my daughter was first born there, because I wasn't sure what to make of it. It's like comes out, I'm not understanding what's going on. My wife was exhausted and doesn't really want to be bothered at the time. Some nurses there, and like, well, why is the poop black? What's wrong? What did we break? Why is our kid broken? They're like, no, that just happens. That's normal. And also, they've got a tube on their stomach that's gonna fall off, but it'll be just a weird chunk of dead skin for a while. Yeah, that. Whatever that is. They're doing that. They're doing the Mega Marons. Dang Mergamans. We got one avoidance card out of it. Not bad. Not great, but not bad. Might as well have everyone doing a little bit of knife fighting while we're waiting to go pick that card up. Basically, like I was saying earlier, you just have everybody swing back and forth, and they're both getting experience for the knife swing. It doesn't seem like much, but it adds up pretty quickly. And in fact, if you're ever playing the vanilla game and you want to train up some dagger-using casters, all the times that you're waiting for them to... generally, like... Okay, so you basically want to put them in pairs. I don't know if anybody else does this, but I always like to have all my classes in pairs there. And so... I just basically have them equipped with the worst dagger whenever you want. And then just every time that they're not doing anything else, you just have them take swings at each other. What's up, kiddo? No. I told you, you're gonna have to wait. Alright, that's good. Knife fight. Next NES game, do Mega Man Challenge? Sure. Oh, actually, speaking of challenges, there was a really interesting one that I wanted to do before other stuff. So, for anyone that's ever played Front Mission 3, that one is a massive pain in the neck to get through, even if you're playing it normally, because there's just so much stuff going on. But I was routing it out and was testing a few things. I think it's possible to do a solo of that run, of that particular one. I don't know exactly how yet, because there's just so much cool stuff you can do in that one. But I think it can be done. Now, if I recall correctly, I'm going to double-check this real quick, because I need to look up the drop guide. I believe Zaid Moors is the first place that we can actually start farming for... there's one particular item that we need. But yeah, so for front mission, for anyone that's never played it, just like this one, it was also... or the original version of the remake of this one, as well as like FFT, Parasite Eve, Vagrant Story, all that. It's one of those amazing things that came out of Square's golden age there. It's basically like you get fully customizable mechs that you're essentially doing a strategy game with. It's so baller with the absolute dumbest main character the world's ever seen. Like seriously, the guy is such a complete bumbleδιck, it's ridiculous. I kid you not, within 5 minutes of starting the game, they're like, oh man, I'm slightly worried about my sister. Well, time to go raid a military base. Like, dude, what is wrong with you? Why? Why is that what comes to mind? Why are you like this? Like, they literally either turn a straight-up traitor to their own country or just wind up embroiled in a friggin' war just because they kind of got bored at work one day. It's so weird. Oh, because, okay, all the rest of the characters, for the most part, are actually interesting. It's a pretty engrossing setup. Like, there's cool stuff going on, some of the craziest things in the genre. I mean, it looks and plays amazingly, but the main characters suck so bad. Seriously, they're just unbelievably hateable. Alright, hang on here. I was looking up that, the drop table real quick to see if this is where we get mollusks and steaks earliest, because I think it was this map. Just want to make sure. Thankfully, there's a guy that made an item guide that's been absolutely fantastic. Let's see, Yuki Blade apparently is their name, but it's from 5 years ago. Very good list here. Let's see. Man, I want to go play Let's Raid the Internet and get my friends killed. I mean, it's not wrong. They go out of their way to show that none of the people that they attacked actually got harmed, and they explain that he only gets away because his dad's like a general or something, but still, complete dick move there. Alright. Alright, so Chapter 3 neutral. That one can drop a stake. That's not going to help us very much. There's a bunch of places where they can potentially drop stakes. Let's see. Another story battle. Another story battle. Stop being story battles. I need you to be repeatable. Coda story battle. Wait, really? Wow. Okay, that's good to know. I think I'm just gonna have to set them to AI on, once we get to that first Coda brawl fight there, because holy crapola! Which actually I think I might allow using non-generics for that one fight, just for in the interest of not doing it like a level 1 solo. But yeah, like every other frickin' thing apparently has a chance to drop a dragon stake there. That might be the best stake farming spot in the game. Jeez. Come on, I know that Farampa's got some of them there. Wait, seriously? Okay, apparently I discovered some things that that this guy doesn't know, like the fact that the ninja and swordmaster map on the bottom left of Farampa, or I guess bottom right, depending on how you want to look at it. Yeah, that you can actually farm stakes there, but come on, item guide. Alright, whatever, it's just doing its thing. Yeah, let's just move on to Balmusa, because that'll get us one step closer to getting Air Cell, which means one step closer to getting Anatomy, which means one step closer to actually being a threat. Let's do this thing. So, first one, just bows. Bows on everyone for that maximum base. Oh, Annihilator, to kind of explain, there's very few ways to actually get stats up in this particular instance. So basically what we're doing is we're going to be trying to grind out a particular item that allows you to do so. So Dragon Steaks will be a strength booster. Mollusk Steaks are going to be an int booster. Just basically any kind of stat item that we can get. And braised skewers are going to be the next one there. Okay. Story battle. Story battle. Story battle. Come on. Come to think of it, maybe this one is just yeah, Frompa Wildwood. Yeah, Howling Hills, there it is. So yeah, Howling Stones, which we can't even use. Dragon Steaks, braised skewers, and steamed mollusks. So those are the three items, so we can just repeat that fight over and over as soon as Fromp opens up. I could have sworn it was actually more than that. And let's go ahead and set all these guys to ranged AI for the moment. Actually, you know what? Let's not. We're going to do this manual, because they're not going to take advantage of the hill. Alright, whatever. Steve can stay as an AI. That's fine. So the reason that we had to over-prepare for this one, and the reason that I'm actually just going to use an end battle save after this, is simply because at this point we suddenly see a jump of 1 to 2 levels. We're suddenly doing way less damage, and on top of all that, we essentially have to do 3 battles in a row, one of which is really not beneficial. Ooh, what was that? Well, thank you for the follow there, Ken. Appreciate it. How's it going? But yeah, so we're going to be doing 3 fights in a row, and we're going to have to basically keep Ravness under control while also being able to be one-shotted by her at any time, so that's going to be interesting. But it's why we're going to be running a lot of bows for this, because functionally speaking, what we want to do is get them to fight each other. I'm going to have a few characters running crossbows, just for the sake of one-shotting the heavies. But for the most part, yeah, we're going to be running those and just running Flaming Blast on everybody. It's kind of cheesy, as it should be. Essentially like one giant pizza. It's all nice and cheesy, and everyone feels bad afterwards. You know, because genocide. Oh, and actually I never showed that. So, as far as grinding goes, I was joking that in order to get the optimal setup for this particular route, you'd essentially have to outdo Balmamusa before even getting there. And technically, yes, if I wanted to max out everybody's stats, I'd probably have to... my initial estimate was actually a little bit low, because I'd basically have to get down to about 7,000-ish kills, given how rare the cards have been dropping. Because per every Tynmouth fight, you've got 7 units in there. Usually about 2 to 4 of them drop cards. So roughly you're going to be looking at 30 to 50% of the time that they're actually dropping cards. You need roughly 2,500 points throughout the team, so that's where the estimate of if they drop them half the time, we're going to be getting, well, a while. It's going to take a minute. But yeah, so that's how I was getting to 5,000. I was thinking, like, ooh, that lines up pretty neatly. The whole deal with, you know, Balmamusa here is they're like, oh man, they went in, they friggin' burned down 5,000 people. This is a crazy way to start the game. And yes, so it is like that, but, yeah, no, 7,000 would have taken way too long. Though, that being said, we will get to that number eventually. Over the course of this game, we'll definitely get there. I don't want to waste all of that when we could be training up Anatomy, though. Is there a PS Vita emulator? Probably. I believe there is, but it's not very good. Because I remember hearing something about that a little while ago. You know what? We can always consult Dr. Google. Let's see. And survey says, yeah, apparently Vita 3K. Oh, in that case I can probably emulate Civ Revolutions and show you how much that game sucks. What are exclusives from the Vita? Well, let's see. I got Gravity Falls, Gravity Rush, all that kind of thing. You got one of those Escape the Room kind of games that's apparently really good. 9 something, I think, was the 3DS one, and then some sequel to that. There's a couple, let's see, there's an Assassin's Creed that's unique to it until it came out on PC, I think. That's the French one, or, yeah, that's the French Assassin Lady one. There's a, I think Golden Abyss is the Uncharted one for it. It's got a hell of a lot of ports. Like, I know personally on mine I have Darkest Dungeon, XCOM, Risk of Rain, Binding of Isaac, and what else? Oh yeah, Civ Revolutions. It's terrible. Yeah, I still kind of want to show Civ Revolutions. Oh, there we go. I mean, it's got a lot of good games, but that's the thing. It's kind of an awkward thing. Like, everything that the Vita did, technically speaking, the Switch is currently doing better. Like, it's also getting all the ports, but they're actually doing them right. Like, for example, it's awesome to have the original XCOM on a Vita. That's all well and cool, but it runs like garbage. It hovers booty like nobody's business, and it's like man, the amount of glitches make it downright almost unplayable at times. I mean, Iron Man mode takes on a whole different meaning on that one, because suddenly the game might just decide your person is now part of the wall. So, very frustrating. But yeah, I mean, still beating it on Iron Man Impossible all the same, but still, it's kind of iffy. Technically speaking, Civ Revolutions 2 there. Macross Delta? I mean, it's got a lot of stuff. I mean, oh yeah, the Persona Golden. Although I think that might have been on other stuff too. There were the FF10 ports, but those are also not really unique now that I think about it. Danganronpa, or whatever the one is, with the weird panda thing. I think they had some unique ones on there. Monkey Ball? They're still making Monkey Ball? Monkey Ball's awesome, man. Ah, man. I've played the hell out of the GBA Monkey Ball growing up. It's actually amazing that they got a functional physics engine going on a GBA game. No, nausea isn't awesome? Then you didn't play Monkey Ball enough. You have to become immune to it. But yeah, no, it totally will give you motion sickness. Like, try to play that thing in the afternoon, trying to, you know, squint at this tiny GBA screen while driving in the passenger seat. You know, as a kid, trying to use the overhead light to try to make sense of anything that's going on the screen, while doing the whole motion thing, while also having a parent that's, like, drunk half the time and drives like a moron. There we go. Got some pretty neat stuff there. Wait, Book of Memories was exclusive to Vita? I had no idea. Huh. Yeah, so Book of Memories was pretty awesome. It's pretty neat. I mean, I find it funny that it was criticized for taking the combat out, but most of Silent Hill's combat is just avoiding the combat, so I don't really see how they took much out of it. But well. Oh, it was 2 Uncharted games. Okay, that's good. Then it is 2 of them. There we go. They're down. Carson! Go get brother, please! Alright. But yeah, as you can see, we're definitely not supposed to be able to do this. They are literally 5 times our level. Stats-wise, they're about 15 higher. But essentially, just due to rank 8s, we're slightly outpacing them here. So we're just... everyone got dex in order to scale up bow damage. Or in order to scale up, well, both bow and crossbow damage primarily. The daggers get slightly above damage threshold, so they're at least useful for speed cuts. And, yeah. We essentially have a fast team that can do little pecks here and there. It's not ideal by any means, but it'll do the job. So you can see there, base damage with a high dex rolled character would still be about 10. Fully maxed out is 30. It's nothing super impressive yet. Once we get anatomy, that'll change. Because that'll essentially be 36 extra attack versus every single thing on the map, which essentially will turn into 36 times times the percentage bonus versus each human character, which will then turn into yet another bonus once we get past that. So we're gonna be scaling it up pretty good. And then once we get all the way up to max stats, well, that's gonna be a completely different story entirely. And I think actually what we're gonna do is once we get cursed weapons, what we might end up doing is just sacrificing the entire team, turning them into weapons, and then starting a whole new team. Essentially building on the foundation of the originals. Because once these guys get maxed out, well, at that point there would be nowhere else for them to grow. Meaning that if we transferred all their stuff into, we just prestiged all of them into weapons, basically, and then essentially use those on new characters, they would functionally be about as strong as they are plus the rookies, and then they'd only have up to go. The main goal of those cursed things is just to have attack, or to have strength and dex maxed out, so we can get the full 255 maximum attack. If we have that, it's a good time. Then they'll be able to break past damage threshold. Every point in mind or intelligence or any of that will essentially up their scaling bonuses. It's a cool system. I just wish they would have handled it slightly better. You know, if they'd spent a little bit more time on it, it could have been a really cool system. Actually, Rakes has mentioned that he might potentially be if he finds a way to rework the formulas, he might have a way to finally fix it for One Vision, but we'll see. You're gonna try what? The emulator? Beat a 3K? Well, then you do that, sir. Now you can see, it took this entire fight for us to be able to get up to the point of getting our finishers, and we're not even where we really want to be yet. I just want to use Imperial Shot just because it looks cool. So yeah, I guess it's more like Imperial. Like, I was the one who called it Imperial. It's like Imperial is what it looks like. Just, why's it gotta be spelled so awkward? Take bow shot, do the thing, do the pew-pews, they go splat, and we're done here. Alright. So, at this point is when stuff gets real. Because if we hadn't set up properly, if we hadn't gotten rank 2 hammers, if we hadn't gotten bows ranked up and everything else, this would be an absolute nightmare to get through. So what happens at this point is this guy is all like, oh man, would you like to genocide real good? But because we want to recruit all the characters with unique skills, we're going to have to say, yeah, sure. Sure, this sounds like a great idea with no problems whatsoever, so by being the savior of the universe, we're apparently going to set it on fire. But that's okay, that cutscene didn't happen, so we're actually going to skip saving there. Again, that fight was pretty easy, so we can just redo it if we need to. Mr. Vale, you have nothing here. Alright, we're going to put bows on him. Etzimnar here might be used as a sacrifice. We'll see. Now, here's what we do. We're going to need a nice mix of crossbows on the more durable characters. So anyone with higher vit gets a crossbow, everybody else gets a bow. So that's Evan, Etzim, and Felicia 2 that are going to be getting the crossbows. Everybody else gets a regular bow. They're going to be the ones up front. Make sure I got that right. So Evan, Felicia... No, not Felicia 2. Okay, Serbo. Oh yeah, Serbo, Felicia 2, and Etzim. There we go. Alright. So that'll be 4 crossbows up front. Everybody else with bows. Bows just need to keep taking hits and stay away from casters as much as possible. While everybody else is just going to charge forward. So we're just going to go ahead and save right here. Alright, so the complication in this fight, Ravness turns on you immediately. So what we're going to need to do is... Why do you not have Field Elk? Right, apparently Etzim doesn't have Field Elk. Which actually, yeah, I guess that makes sense. So for everybody that's running forward here, we're gonna put Fortify on them. It probably won't help too much, but it's there. It's just a little bit of reduction in their scaling damage. Okay. So... Suddenly Denham's going to pretend to be racist for a moment, even though he never is again. I really don't know why they went down that route. I know they're trying to make it seem like a, you know, he learned kind of moment, but considering he really wasn't like that to begin with, wouldn't mind a portable console. Vita costs a little bit more as of when it became hacked, but yeah, if you can get a hold of one, just so you know, a lot of people end up selling theirs for cheap, just like how I ended up getting mine, because they will think that the sticks constantly wavering is the console going dead. Thankfully, that's not actually the case, and it's actually pretty easy to take apart and fix. Usually it's just like oils or hairs or whatever else that get under the thumbsticks. Or you can actually just, if you don't feel like taking it apart, you can actually just download a particular app upon hacking it. That'll allow you to just adjust the sensitivity on the sticks to fix that. PSP games are compatible, yes, and if you end up hacking the thing, you can run PSP, PS1, Vita, obviously. You can run... Yeah, pretty much any old console whatsoever. Like, it's pretty much all good. How do you hack it? There's a bunch of videos out there. Basically, all you need to do is you need to get a particular demo, There's a few demos that you can use, and you essentially just replace its files with a different thing, which you then run from the main menu, and that's really about it. Just you download a particular exploit, and you just run the thing, and pretty much everything else just gives you options from there. Once you have, what the hell was it called? Yeah, once you have the hen cake, or whatever it was freaking called, it's all good to go from there. All you gotta do is just kind of pick out which apps you want from there. You need Adrenaline in order to run PSP games. That's the PSP emulator. If you get auto plugin, that'll allow you to just automatically do that. It basically comes. It just creates a PSP that you run from your Vita. There's a bunch of shmups on PSP. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of stuff you can do with this kind of stuff. All right. And now we come to the downside of rookies here. Now, unlike the Gafgarian fight or anything like that, we don't have the option of stripping her down of all of her equipment before coming here. She'll just come in re-equipped. So there we go. What we're going to do is try to put her to sleep and/or charm her, and then just sneak on by. And then we leave 2 people behind in order to make sure that that everybody's safe. I'm going to put Strengthens wherever I can. Yeah, if it's on PSP, it probably plays good. Honestly, most things played really good on PSP. You also have the 3rd Gen Armored Core remix on there as well, which actually come with a little bit of extra content. What you doing? Are you trying to be a unicorn? Now you got your hat? Alright. Now again, just to point this out, I know somebody's going to mention it, like, why aren't you using Balmy Breeze? Why aren't you using Sleep? Any of those, it's literally a 0% chance to hit. I will never be able to hit with them. It's just level 1s have so few stats. There we go, we fix your hat. There you go. There you go, all better. Oh, did you finish up with your snacks, Mr. Toga Man? Hang on, let me go grab more snacks. Just a sec. Alright, and back. So, let's see. Yeah, no, as far as PSP and Vita, they got a hell of a lot of good stuff on there. I mean, personally, I originally got it for the for XCOM Portable there. Truth be told, I think I liked the PS1 remakes of the original XCOMs more than that one in the end. And it's not like it's not completely unplayable or anything. Like I was saying, it's close to it, but it functions, but it's way worse than it needs to be. Is probably the best way to put it. I mean, the ports are pretty alright, but some of them are kind of... We're just going to weaken her real quick. She's pretty close to getting a bar. So part of the reason that we want to put her to sleep or charm is simply because she builds up bar like crazy, and she will one-shot if she hits. We should have enough items to fully cheese this, but we have to get past her in order to shut her down first. But, you know, as far as the DS, Game Boy, all that kind of business, you can basically do almost all of that on the Vita as well. Like, I use mine as a GBA emulator. I use, I guess we gotta use this one, huh? Yeah, pretty much every classic emulator will run on it. RetroArch is pretty well covering at this point. Unfortunately, the N64 is still not going yet, though somebody is working on making Daedalus function properly for the Vita, which it barely functions for the PSP. Supposedly they're making some headway, but we'll see how that goes ultimately. And also, unfortunately, getting my worst characters through first. It's not exactly going to be ideal, but we'll make it work. I mean, as far as the DS goes, there's a lot of good Pokemon games on it. So that's nice. So we are going to be wasting a lot of items here. Again, this is intentional. Really, as far as the Vita, the only complaint I have on it, that's slightly, like, it would be way, 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 way above the PSP. But the only thing that keeps it at only slightly above that same level, like performance and space and everything else-wise, it's amazing. But the design of the PSP is just so slick. I mean, the thing will fit in any pocket and be fine in under almost all conditions. I mean, I put mine through friggin' hell, and it was just fine for the longest time. In fact, my original PSP, Cow has. The one that's... the second one that I had that was my little emulator pocket thing for the longest time, it went through so many vacations. It has seen most of the country, and then it finally got taken out when some a-hole on Black Friday ran into me with a shopping cart. So, I mean, that thing dang near saved my ribs, so I'm gonna go ahead and say it's a pretty neato device. Let's see. So people say the Ratchet and Clank says Matter sucks on PSP, but I love it as hell. Spider 3 is playable, but not bad. Don't mind it. I mean, there's a lot on there. I will say the Monster Hunters on PSP, I don't even like Monster Hunter, and it's pretty solid. And supposedly they're considered some of the best older Monster Hunter games by most folks. But yeah, if you're looking for something just light to carry in your pocket, if it ends up coming down to just the PSP's more available, the PSP still holds up. It still holds up really well. Those things are very slick. They're very cozy. And by the way, this spot right here is why I was training them up for bows. As you can see, they're about to take 30s from this one here. This is why Etsum and Frisk are likely going to be taking some hits. This is also why they weren't trained up earlier, because I need them to take some hits. Until we get Anatomy, we can't really pick our fights as well. I mean, you can say games are smoke. Pack of cigarettes? But no, I'm alright. I think I'm alright not saying that. I would describe that more as our dang art. Some people obsess over their movies. I like to be able to interact with my movies. There we go. Because it makes you addicted? Not really. Depends on your personality. I mean, for me, it could be a game or whatever else. Games are just the most convenient thing. If there's an addiction in it, for me, it's just the whole act of figuring out how something works and making it do what I want it to do. I should have laughed. Maybe. Maybe. But there was some orange juice to drink, and so, you know, OJ, gotta keep the virus away, all that. But no, but no, it makes sense. I'm just being an a-hole. Alright. I need to get weaken on this chick. There we go. So we keep weakening her. The reason that she keeps going for her regular attacks instead of her finisher here. Yeah, we can get a slumber shot here. That is some atrocious aim there, not aerosol. Alright, we're gonna need to get True Flight before we take that shot. But no, truth be told, I won't be laughing at much of anything today just because it's completely dead tired. Alright. Leave that alone, Mr. Man. Leave it alone. Sad Dad. I'm usually happy Dad, thank you very much. But yeah, no, we're still up until friggin' past midnight making a sad doomer. Oh, calling me a boomer now. Man, I'm well past. I was born well past the boomer bit. Thank you very much. Calling you, am I? Maybe. I don't know. I don't remember giving you my number. How'd you find that? Alright. That would have been hilarious if a spam caller called at that point. There we go. Again, still on them. Giving a slight bit of extra damage. So they're going to start pecking away at the side here. I should have had more go around the side, but we'll be fine as we are. There we go. We just want to spread around damage for the time being. They don't have a cleric. That would have made this fight a lot harder. And yeah, we'll get her back up on her feet as soon as we can. We're basically just chucking gems at anybody that gets down here, using them as a barrier. I'm sure their loyalty is going to drop like a rock, but oh well. And look at that. We tricked Aerosol into helping. Now, considering she's neutral, I kind of wonder what happens if you charm her here. And so all we're really doing is just slowly pushing up. So we just take out the AIs as we go up. We try to keep Aerosol, or not Aerosol, but we try to keep Ravness kind of safe. Kind of being the operative word. I mean, really, she's the bigger danger to us here. Alright. There we go, slumber shot, 72%. And that's a fail. Alright. But that's fine, we got her off on the corner here. Hopefully she'll decide to heal instead. Let me check the ISO files if I can make the game work. If it's an ISO, yeah, you should be fine. But yeah, so after this fight, we'll go ahead and wrap it up. So, by the way, if you're trying to check if you can make a PSP thing run on a Vita emulator, you're probably better off just getting PPS's PP in that case. Because again, the whole reason that PSP works on a regular Vita is because you're essentially emulating a PSP from the Vita. So as I understand, it's something like the game, or one of the games in question allows a program to run that convinces the Vita that it's something else, which allows it to run a software that it shouldn't, which allows it to pretend that it's to essentially load up everything that a PSP normally would, because there's enough hardware similarities to just do that. And then it essentially runs a emulator of a PS1 through that PSP to run most PS1 games through it. Or if you want to just run run PSP games, then yeah, you can just do it from there. It's kind of a weird chain of events, because in many ways, if you think about it, when you're trying to run the old XCOM games, you're essentially taking a Vita, using it to emulate a PSP, which is using it to emulate a PS1, which is using it to emulate DOS. It's interesting. One sec, please. By the way, from what you're doing there, I gotta ask, what OS are you running there? So this one's going to be direct fire. And our best option here is to get a healer on stuff, so we need to do something like that. So this should hit somebody on the way over there. And it missed. Beautiful. And yes, if you think about it, you are essentially using that skill to run up and charm somebody with your giant fiery ball. Alright. Enjoy the mod? Dang straight, it's a fantastic mod. For once in a while, we're doing a non-modded run this time. Just trying to do the vanilla game at level 1, and then we'll try it with a mod. But yeah, for the moment we're doing this one. Alright, so we're going to take out their caster here. Except we won't, because we're going to stumble. Dang it. That was a bad time for that. And we're going to start getting ripped apart. Unfortunately, yeah, that would have been the decider there. Because that's one of their two casters. So we're going to have to get up there to get them back up on their feet, and they're just taking all the turns here. Alright, can I get some people up, please? Would be quite dandy. Right. You done taking turns? Can I do stuff? Nope, still taking turns, huh? And they keep offing people right before their turn. Ah, jeez. That's frustrating. That would have changed so much. Alright, so now we gotta spend a turn getting people up on their feet. And none of these are even getting turns anytime soon. Right, best bet for him is just to take this guy out then. Wait, what the? Weird. Do you not have your crossbow skill equipped or something? Why is his crossbow not maxed out? Huh. Alright, well, I'm better off having somebody else take that finisher then. Or that finishing shot. Let's get as many units up as we can. Try to at least make a little bit of damage progress, because I need to get the entire blob moving up here. Alright, if he does the AoE, what's that going to look like here? 67, 72... Not the worst idea in the world. If he goes for the Death Whale, though, that's a guaranteed KO on her. Not the worst idea, because she's been double poking. Did you cut experience? Yes, I turned off experience entirely for this run. Just to show that it's actually potentially possible to beat this entire game, as well as the DLC, with an entirely level 1 party. The original is... well, the mechanics in it are just that abusable. Which is nice and fun. And it's the reason why a lot of this stuff ended up, especially Anatomy. Anatomy is going to be cheesed like crazy, but it's the reason why Anatomy got cut for a lot of units in the mod. Alright, they're getting the snowball right now, because they're getting crits, they're getting everything else. Alright, is that your turn coming up soon? Alright, who is that's getting a turn? Alright, Felicia 2, so I need to make sure Felicia 2 actually gets her turn. He's essentially going to pass the baton over to her. Move over here and try to lock her in place. She's probably going to try to go north. If she goes north, he can go ahead and take it. But yeah, I tried routing this as a minimum level run, but then you still wound up with a pretty reasonable level, even at that. So I figured if we lock it at level 1, we can show the kinds of craziness that can happen. Right. And as much as I'd like that caster gone... Actually, no, the best bet is going to be snipe him real quick. Did we already beat the witch lady? I think we did. Alright, so she's going to go up here, revive her friend shortly. I probably should have gone for the revive and then the shoot. None of their turns are coming up anytime soon. So 23, 29. There we go. That's what we wanted. Essentially doing the same thing they just did to us in reverse. And there we go. That one bites the dust. Thankfully, their knight here is relatively weak. Would have been a really nice spot for a dodge, but what can you do? You want a cheese stick? Alright, kiddo, just a moment, okay? Alright. There we go, we'll get Steve up. And we get Agility up, and what else here? We got Cerebro. Inexplicably without the skill that he needs right now. Little poo. Right. Damage scaling on him is good, but it's not going to be enough. Okay, how much will Dullbind do? Let's see, 106, 125. That could roll high and get the finish. Could use that on her. Just lock her in place so she stops taking units out. Could go for the hail over here, though. That'd be pretty solid.
It hurts.
What you doing, kiddo? Well, that's why you don't stomp on the chair. It hurts. Right. I'm gonna try two things here. First of all, will Brimstone reach from here? Yes. Somehow the odds are even worse. I mean, even if he heals, he's probably not making it to the next turn. Well, actually, no. We're gonna go here. Gonna establish this line right here. And keep them safe from both sides. They can't climb up the right side. Those two are completely isolated. And I will be right back. Let me get these kiddos some cheese sticks. Hello, and I'm back. And hi there, hi peoples. Imagine searching for Tactics Ogre and finding a match. Well, yeah. I'm doing this stuff pretty regularly, actually. Most days of the week, in fact, as long as there's time. But yeah, over here we do a lot of Tactics Ogre. We, like, especially this one, especially One Vision, if you're familiar with the One Vision mod. We do a lot of challenge runs and that kind of thing. And then stuff tangentially related to this one. So we've been doing a run-through of Fell Seal, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's been far better than anything I expected, actually. But yeah. Do the occasional XCOM likes and that sort of thing. So yeah. Definitely a lot of love for this kind of stuff, especially the Ogre Battle series here. But currently we are doing a level 1 run. Yeah, if only that 7% rolled. We're not the AI, we don't get sweet 7% rolls. Okay. Seeing Fell Seal, Banner of the Maid. I have not played Banner of the Maid before, but it's, man, Fell Seal is amazing. Like, if you loved FFT, like, that will tickle your jollies like nobody's business. It is fan-frickin-tastic. It's like everything that would be a wet dream for a mod of it. Like, difficulty options-wise, you can literally just turn it into 1.3 right off the bat if you wanted to. There's options to just scale and adjust everything. Not to mention, it basically re-rolls fights. It regenerates fights every time you play the game. So, yeah, if you end up losing, you can't just go back and be like, oh man, I'm gonna counter this, this, this. No, no, no. It'll have an entirely new team, and you just, like, figure all that stuff out on the fly. There's, like, counter versions for everything. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. And we're apparently having a very, very spazzy moment right now, and I wish that 80% charm chance would roll for once. Because so far that's 3 shots of it. 3 shots of it that did nothing. But yeah. Alright, Mr. Cerebo. You got your grenade launcher ready? Can we do anything with that? 86, 79. It's something. I think I'm still better off having him stall for time right now. Because the units around the back are still making their way over. I mean, we're getting there. We just got to keep using Blessing Stones to kind of just build up a wall here. But yeah, so as far as if you love this game, absolutely try the One Vision mod. It basically rebalances it into an actually balanced game. The whole point of this run is just to show that, yeah, even at level 1, you can cheese the mechanics so hard that you can still make it. It's absolutely fascinating how they did the systems in this. But yeah, so if you're looking for stuff like it, absolutely. One Vision mod or Fell Seal are currently my top recommendations by far. Alright, do we just have him take a regular shot? Snipe at this guy? No, it's Steve. He's one of the rookies. Let's just get you. So I have FFT and Tactics Ogre on my to-do list. I haven't played them before. Got into the Tactics genre with Disguise 1 and FFTA. So, especially if you load FFTA, actually, as far as Felseal goes, it is an absolute love letter to FFTA and A2. FFT technically also, like, the best way that I can describe that game is like, okay, you take all the Whoa, kiddos, calm down, calm down. Hold on one quick second here. We got really excited over it. Well, a cat toy of all things. It's a toy of a cat, not an actual cat toy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, yeah, Felseal is basically like you take the points and kind of point trickle over system of FFT, which if you haven't played it before, the general wait, I didn't mean to do that. It's not the unit I meant to select. Alright. By the way, just for the sake of reference, turn reset is allowed if it's a misclick. But anyway, so the basic idea on that one is that there's a really big emphasis on multi-classing, so every time somebody takes an action, they get a few points. If somebody is one particular class, some of what they learn essentially passes over to everybody else on the team for that particular class. So like if you have a knight that's learning a bunch of things, everyone else that has knight unlocked will essentially get a few points. I think it's like 10% of whatever they make. So you just multi-class a bunch of people in a bunch of different things, and you just create all these weird builds all over the place. It's a fun time. So FFTA essentially changes that to the skills come from equipment, mostly because that system from FFT was ultra cheesable. From pretty much the very first fight, you could go in and you could max out the squire, essentially just cause that to max out the knight, because essentially all the points that they have accumulated, they will also carry some of to their next class. So you can just make this weird tidal wave if you know how it all works. And then just, yeah, you could do some really, really interesting cheese with it. So, for example, while that one is mostly about multi-classing, this one is primarily about coming up with... ooh, that won't work. This one is mostly about coming up with ways to make interesting team compositions work. So, funnily enough, they are in the same... they're made by the same people, despite being different series, despite, for some reason, being officially considered rivals. Couldn't tell you why that never seems to stick, but oh well. Alright, we'll just go for the Dullbind here, take their archer out. So just so you know, this is not the accurate experience of how this game usually works. I am attempting to purposely break a lot of the systems of the game. Anyway, so yeah, it is kind of a wild change, but it's interesting to study the whole progression of how these games went along, because you essentially just have all of these constant reactions to different cheeses that people discover. Like with FFT, when people figured out that you could essentially just... Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness, hang on one sec. Yeah, we're getting real hyper before lunch. That's why I was trying to end it. So right now, yeah, we're gonna have some very excited kiddos doing their playtime. Hello, Mr. Man. I know you're so excited. Grilled cheese is happening soon. Kiddo. I know. Big happy times. Exactly. This is what I mean. When he gets going, he doesn't stop. Well, hi. All right. Yeah, kiddos are doing a big excite, but all right, we're just gonna attempt to plank down with these top two and hope for the best, I guess. But yeah, so honestly, with Felseal there, like it tries to copy the best parts of everything in a weird way. So, like for example, the whole all the trickling points and whatever else they learned from FFT. The fact that you only get those points at the end of the fight, and it's based off the fight, was learned from this game. The overall visual style is borrowed very heavily from FFTA, and you can tell they had a budget, and you... Oh boy. Child, that is my coffee cup. You don't need it. No, that's Dad's coffee mug. You're gonna bust that thing open like nobody's business. Come on, Moment. Alright, yeah, that was a bit of a loud time. Anyway, we're almost done with this fight. Nah, kiddo. It's because the game keeps deleting people. All I need is for her to go attack those 3 on the bottom, and then we can go. This is why I stocked up on 70 of these dang things, because, yeah. This is after optimization. Data still energetic, must fix it. Right? Good lord. Yeah, so, I will say, so FFT's defense system, the nice thing it did was that it created situations where you would have the AI seemingly doing more dynamic stuff. The AI in this one, they tried to do that. Generally speaking, it tends to feel more predictable in this one, because you can essentially present squishies to them and make them go particular ways. Yes, you could basically argue that that makes it more strategic or whatever else. Mostly it comes across a little frustrating sometimes, because you get situations like this where, like, as soon as one goes down, everybody starts going down, because they're going to immediately start going for all the ones that do the most numbers at, you know, as soon as they can. Which, arguably, then makes it a smarter AI. It's unclear what you'd call it. Alright. Alright. Let's go ahead and get Frisk up so they can go ahead and focus on her. Child, you do not need a pair of scissors. No. No. Alright, so this might seem like a risky move, but I need her out of the blob. So any KO I can get, I'm gonna take. Because right now, those guys are all completely isolated. They can only heal, and that's about it. The ones on the top are a problem, and, well, Ravness can never seem to bother actually not just attacking us instead, even though she's technically hostile to both sides. And then, if any of these turns can line up, like, for example, if any of these ones that get raised up will get back to actually being effective, then we can be on to something. Child, you're not getting a pair of scissors. See, imagine if raid bosses focused on healers and mages. Welcome to the world of Ogre Battle, what can I say? That's this series in a nutshell. They've always had a bunch of interesting damage threshold formulas. So, functionally speaking, this game actually does have an armor system. which, again, is really cool if you know how it works, really annoying if you don't, because then you wind up in those weird situations of like, okay, that guy has way worse gear than me, why is he doing more damage, that kind of thing. It's like right here, we have a massive level disadvantage, and the way that the game is normally set up is that level advantages are massive in this game. They're meant to be the main deciding factor, because you basically have a situation where stats are checked first, then it checks armor, then it checks attack, then it checks different kinds of augments and different kinds of scaling damage. So kind of checking like, were they physically able to overpower them? How did their gear react? Then how much damage was done from there. So the only reason that we're able to resist a lot of this stuff, except for Ravness and except those people with the Volges, was because, well, I have everybody trained in all kinds of different weapons so that they'd be able to resist them a little bit better. Which, again, really cool system in theory. It's just neat that it works that way. This one, when it comes to TO, so this is for high people specifically, like, the funny part is this game is both the prequel and the sequel to FFT in many ways. So its original SNES version is the one that kind of kick-started this whole series of what most folks refer to as Mitsuno games there, where you basically have FF Tactics, you have Tactics Ogre, Ogre Battle, Vagrant Story, FFTA, A2, all that kind of thing, and eventually Fell Seal, even though he was not involved with most of that. With the idea being that it's just like this thing that leans very heavily on the RPG side of things. You can make some super goofy combinations, but you know it's mostly there for customization and things like that. This is about as simulatory as it gets for the genre, or for this series as it goes. Like for example, FFT is more about multi-classing and making these interesting builds that just react weirdly or have weird passives. Like you go get a guy that's got like dual wield and turn him into a caster, just turn him into a really good, you know, staff augmented caster or something like that. Or you end up going and getting somebody with attack up and making them a geomancer and scaling geomancies off off their weapon damage or however that worked. I forget if that's Cerebomon or not exclusive. But either way, sure would be nice if I could move one of those two units, although I guess she just did for me, so there goes that. I mean, normally speaking, you Tactics Ogres and Ogre Battle as well is more about like setting up formations, and so you've got all this fantastical stuff going on, but there's still an emphasis on real-world tactics. So you're setting up battle lines, you're using all these different kinds of supports, and generally speaking, casters are either worthless or completely overpowered, depending on where you are and what's going on. So it's interesting. They're functionally the artillery of this world, where if they're hit, they're gone. But if up until then, they can do some interesting stuff. Unfortunately, they've still got a healer active, and I still keep needing to revive everybody over and over. Alright. So we're going to need some finishers going. I especially need to get Denim up. Like, this scenario right now, in terms of everything being all gritty and dark and everything, functionally speaking, this lady's going and attacking us here because we basically just agreed to a genocide. Reason for that is a little bit more murky than it sounds. I mean, not to mention the fact that we kind of offed 2,000 people to get our stats where they are right now anyway. Through means that are bizarre to say the least, and yeah, aside from that though, it's like a whole thing where it's a group basically getting genocided by themselves, so they try to cause a rebellion. The rebellion fails. And so their options, more or less, either do a false flag operation and hope for the best, or just lay down and take it. So it's weird. Also, hang on one quick second, I will be right back. Alright, and back. But yeah, so in many ways, this series is pretty freaking dark. I mean, hell, arguably the only real, unquestionably good guy that can join you. He kind of winds up, well, he ends up being tortured into a vegetable by the end of this one, so that's not particularly great for him. Generally speaking, yeah, it's a pretty grim series. Stuff's all unfortunately realistic. Probably the best way to put it. Alright. I think the simplest way to do this, I might as well just have Gordon go down and take some hits. Just heal him up with some of the other guys. If any of these dodges could roll, that'd be fantastic. Now, yeah, so like I was saying, well, FFT, FFTA, and all that generally take a more, you know, RPG heavy, you know, all your melee hits will usually hit unless there's something in the way approach. TO is more of the kind of everybody's their own unit, if that makes sense, kind of situation. Let me see. I'm just going to shadow pin here for accuracy's sake. So while you got all these big fancy finishing moves and things like that, just all kinds of different skills, honestly they're more flashy than they should be, because Shadow Pin is essentially just you stab dude in foot. In most of these cases, you know, as you can see, nobody's being all too special. Like, the archer's whole thing is, like, they get a guaranteed crit eventually, and then at another point they can get to the point where they will where they'll be able to fire twice. It's like that's kind of about it. So it doesn't get overly fancy. I mean, archer's still an archer. They're there to shoot a bow. They are a unit in a war. They are not a superhero. Let's see, so if FFT is my favorite, what should I play next in your opinion? Definitely give FFT a try, because it's a legend for a reason. Like, it's absolutely fantastic. You might notice how cheesable the job system is right away, but it's like FFT. Its mechanics might be kind of dated, but the experience of it holds up so well. Like, they even tried to make other things. They try to copy it and emulate it and things like that. And they even recently made a mobile game trying to cash in on nostalgia for it. But man, just everything is so meaty in that game. Like, as when they're having arguments and cutscenes, like, you got the whole choking up sound, like, just the sheer punch all the moves everybody does throughout the entire thing. Like, one moment that always comes to mind is this rescue scene early on, where there's a guy that's going to be a boss later, and sure, he might be difficult, but at that point he's cornered, and they actually have a whole standpoint of everybody moving around the room, and he's just trying to sneak his way out of there. It's so meaty. Everything feels so good. Again, with this game boner now. Yeah, March of the Black Queen also. That's the first game in this series. It's definitely a lot more fantastical, but you're basically just taking all these different squads, and it's actually almost an RTS kind of situation, but based on like what cities you liberate, how you liberate them, who you send where, like how you basically deal with every situation, you get all kinds of different results, and that one's just cool for all its own reasons. Like, it's the only one I've seen where it's like if you have a bunch of characters that are super over-leveled, people are going to be scared of them. Nobody wants to be seeing this group of, like, friggin' marauding mega beasts coming into their town. So, you know, generally speaking, their overall morality is going to be pretty low and all that kind of thing. They're a bit too cocky for people to want to deal with. So if you bring them into a town, they're like, yeah, no, we friggin' hate this, and so your reputation will end up dropping. Then others will start reacting differently to you, and like, I went and I did a run of using just fairies to beat that game, and we got to the situation where we're showing up in a town, and the local thieves are like, yeah, so you created a crap load of chaos, we're super glad about this, here's your tithes for the week. It's just like, oh great, we accidentally started the friggin' Thieves Guild over here. Just casually off in the background. So yeah, it's interesting to study the evolution of it. March of the Black Queen was first. The original version of this game was after that, because they wanted to take this whole big fantasy war, but it's also still pretty gritty scenario, kind of boil it down to individual experiences. So that's where Tactics Ogre came from. FFT then was supposed to be... Like, FFT is essentially a boiling down of the Chaos route from this game. And then they essentially just refined the Chaos route. And then added a skill system. At which point, they later went back, and then they added a skill system to Tactics Ogre, which is what, you know, essentially what this PSP remake was. So, lots of cool evolution happened there. And so yeah. This one's definitely one of the prettier ones. There's a lot of cheesable mechanics, just like there are in any of the games, quite frankly, which is where the One Vision mod comes in, because once you start realizing just how absolutely busted archers are, well, you kind of tend to stop having a bit of fun, and so then the One Vision mod comes in, rebalances everything. It's pretty dandy, nifty, and everything. And so yeah, there's a whole lot to go on about that, but I would say try FFT, and if you really, like, if you're in it for the crazy multiclassing stuff, definitely try FFT A2. I mean, personally, that's one of my favorites. It takes everything FFT did and just takes it up to 45. It's just incredible, quite frankly. So yeah, FFT A2 would probably try... I mean, obviously give this one a try. It's a little bit more, at least it looks more complicated. There's definitely a lot more systems in play, but you don't necessarily need to learn all of them. I finished the main story of FFTA 2, but here's the thing, the main story is like 20 quests long, the full game is about 300. Seriously, the side quests are way more interesting than the main quest. It's pretty awesome. Stop finding my double tiles, Ravness. Come on, just let me finish this fight already. Didn't compel me like FFTA to do side quests. It doesn't compel you, but there's so much more to that one. Like, seriously, there is so much more. I mean, honestly, the one with the zombie lady, probably one of my all-time favorites. Just because of the interestingness of the concept. Struggling with emulation? That'll happen. Come on, roll the charm. Didn't roll the charm. Hot dang, that is 4 20% in a row. I should go buy a lottery ticket. Yeah, it's very possible nothing works. It didn't even exist as of a little while ago. Alright. I think we should be done using Blessing Stones. We'll just use a Burst Fire on this one. I was joking earlier, we need to go set up a GoFundMe to go get Matsuno some more cracks so he can go make more of these games. I remember, I think I really synergized with the cast of FOTA 2. It's possible. I got a really Harry Potter feel from that game, I loved it. But yeah, definitely try Fell Seal. The art looks weird at first. That comes up every time that it comes up. There'll always be somebody sitting there like, man, I don't know, this art doesn't look so good. Give it a chance. The systems in that game are, bar none, the best in the genre as far as I've seen. Like, in terms of multiclassing, I have never seen it done better. And the fact that it randomly rolls new fights for you, the fact that it constantly adjusts cool things on the fly, the fact that you can put all kinds of challenge modes on it, I mean, it ends up taking what works from all the rest of the genre and just mashes it together. Because, like, they take that whole JP and JP overflow system from FFT. They take the unlocking via different ranks thing from XCOM. They take the... dang it, Ravness. They take a lot of the character unlocking, I would say similar to something like, let's say, Fire Emblem. You've got the aesthetics of FFTA. You've got a lot of the crazy amount of classes, like FFTA 2. You've got some of the hidden classes, like Tactics Ogre here. You've got... you just got mechanics out the frickin' wazoo on that one. It's absolutely incredible. So we were going to do, if you're interested in taking a look at that one before hopping in, we were going to do some more of that on Monday. It seems every time I call something like that, well, we kind of have an issue in terms of of something always ends up coming up. And there we go. Vice is going to go ahead and swear vengeance on that thing that he totally would have done if you let him. Which game? We were doing Felseal on Monday, if time's permitting. Just to show off even more of its awesomeness. I thought those... Let's see. So as a kid, I thought those things like that shouldn't take much change. Change file until someone breaks and get a virus. And then he goes through his emo phase. And I still forgot to test some things. So, alright.
3 weeks have passed since the massacre at Balmamus.
And then everyone died. So, okay. Let's see, I have a tendency to bounce around topics regardless of chat. I often don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, neither do I half the time. That is the joy of no sleep and way too much coffee. But anyway, speaking of, I gotta get back to editing, so... Got a book to go to deliver to Mr. Vale, so, gotta get back on that time crunch. So thank you guys for stopping by, appreciate it. And, yeah, we'll be doing more of this run, and doing more of Felseal, and doing all that kind of thing. And I almost don't want to do another X Division part, because we finally had a good episode for the first time in months. So, no alarm. Which, by the way, I thought this was a typo my first time through. Apparently, it used to be called... well, it used to be spelled alarm. That weird little note. There's so many weird little historical notes that I've been promising to do a friggin' historical analysis of this whole game for the longest time. Maybe I should probably start doing that as of next time. Anyway, so, thank you guys. Take care. And, oh, and by the way, for High Peoples, just so you know, the SNES version, which got translated over to this Saturn, the Saturn one is actually what started the voice lines for this one. Weird little trivia, but yeah. Think we'll try the Saturn version at some point. Unfortunately, it's only in Japanese, but well. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Take care, and yeah, see you then.